So the process of settling in as an immigrant can vary depending on different circumstances of the person, your immigration pathway, how you got here basically, your visa, and where you live, who you're living with, your host. Yeah, I always tell people your host will either make you or break you. So in as much as we don't have so much control over who our hosts may be, I pray and hope your host is a very good person and that they're willing to spread the kindness and be nice to you. So if you're an immigrant out there or you intend to move to the country, to the USA, and you're looking for a place to get some answers, I think we got you. Yeah, so I hope one of the videos on my channel helps you go through whatever it is that you're going through, encourages you in a way, and I hope it makes your life a bit easier, and I promise you it's going to be okay. Things are going to eventually work out. I know it might be hard right now, but you're going to be fine. Yeah, so if you're seeing my face for the very first time, my name is Rachel Agasha. I'm an immigrant from Uganda. I moved to the USA in August 2022, so I've approximately been here for 2 years. I could say in a few months. In August I make 3, and the journey has been a roller coaster. So many things, one thing after another, but the fact that I'm here and I am fine and healthy should be, a testimony. Look at me and get hope, because let me tell you, it's going to be fine. Yeah, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about how long it takes for an immigrant to settle into the USA. Now, like I earlier mentioned, depending on how you got here. So for an immigrant who won, let's say, the DV lottery like me, it might take you 1 to 2 years to settle in. For an employment-based visa, it will take you years or months for your I-140 to be approved. So it depends on how long your visa processing is, or should I say how long you can quickly get your documentation put together. I won the DV lottery, and that is how I was able to move to the USA. So my process hasn't been hard, in as much as I wouldn't say it has been a bed of roses, but personally it has, I could say I'm fully settled right now. I could say I'm fully settled, and it depends on what settling is for you. But in my opinion, I think getting a decent job, getting a decent place to stay, and basically putting your life together for me would be settling. We're going to begin from when you get into the country. Now, depending on which country you're coming from, the jet lag is real. Yeah, from Uganda to the USA, depending on what flight you use, could be 15, 16, 17 hours maybe. I recently traveled to Uganda, and from the USA, because I use Egypt Airlines, from the USA to Egypt or Cairo was 10 hours, and it was like a straight flight. And from Egypt, I had a layover. So if you don't have a layover, actually, it could actually be around 14 hours. Yeah, or 15, depending on the delays, and like if all the factors remain constant, could be a 15-hour flight, or 14, depending on depending on which state you are coming from, because there's some states that are a bit farther from, should I say Uganda? I don't know. So if you were coming from, let's say, Colorado, right, it would take you around, because I know from Denver, let's say, to DC is a whole 5-hour flight, right? So if I'm coming from DC to Uganda and I'm using, let's say, Egypt Airlines, it would take me around 15 hours for me to get to Uganda. But if someone is coming from Denver, Colorado, despite of a straight flight or whatever, they would have to have extra 5 hours. So their flight is approximately 20 hours. And the reverse is also true. If you're coming from Uganda to the USA, depending on where you're going, the time might be a bit longer. So the jet lag is real. Jet lag is basically how tired you can be after a long flight. So once you've reached your destination or wherever it is that you're going, allow yourself the time to heal from that journey, because it takes a minute. Yeah, personally, when I got here, I didn't know what day it is because, of course, the time zones, like, you won't know. I promise you, I do not remember for how long my first flight to the USA was. I don't. Either I wasn't paying attention or I didn't care. I just wanted to be off the plane. I just wanted to reach where it is I was going. So the jet lag is real. Allow yourself time to heal. Then there is that time zone change, yeah, that messes with your sleep pattern and all that stuff. So what happened for me was I got here, and every time it would be time to sleep in Uganda, I would be very sleepy. So it takes time for your body to adjust to the whole new environment, the whole new time zone. And I promise you, give yourself the grace because it is real, yeah. And as much as when you get here, you probably have a job to do and you have work to do, keep yourself busy. Find things that are going to keep you busy. But also, I know you're not going to be working the moment you get here. So every time you feel it, allow your body, because eventually it phases out, yeah. So there's also that. You need to allow that to go right through you. Then right after you get here, like I said, depending on your immigration pathway, if you want the DV lottery like me, you are very advised. No, I actually would advise you, because they would mention that you're supposed to pay for the green card before you actually travel to the USA. So when they send you the last documentation and everything, then they'll ask you to pay for the green card, because they say they want to start the process earlier. So I did that. I paid for my green card in Uganda, and what happened was the payment was declined. Every time you make a payment and something goes wrong, it doesn't go through, they charge you $30 extra. So I would advise that if you're coming to the USA, do it here, because you can do a money order, you can do your host can help you do process a check or use their card or something like that. But a money order, I used a money order and we shipped it to them, which made life easier for me. I didn't have to incur any other costs. So there's also that. So you handle that, yeah. Then after that, you want to work on your social security card, or should I say social security number. So again, like I said, it will vary for different people. If you came here for school, the process is entirely different, yeah. And if you came here for, let's say, you came to tour or you came to visit, your process is also going to be entirely different. I wouldn't say you'd be settling, but if you chose to, then I mean that would be a whole different story altogether. I have a friend who came here for school, so she should be able to take us through what it is that you're supposed to do when you come here for school, how to settle in and how to get all your documentation in place. I'll be hosting her soon. We'll be having a live for that whole session. So if you're there, you want to find out how to come to the USA TD school, what it is that you need to know, what it is that you need to do, she'll be breaking it all down for you. So the social security number. The social security number is basically your entire identity in this country. And when I say identity, I mean guard it jealously. It's not just another number that you're going to be throwing around everywhere. As a matter of fact, if someone calls you and you do not know these people, they are not a bank, they are not your medical insurance, they are not people who should be having this information, please don't give out your social security number. Guard it jealously. It is yours to keep, because if somebody else has your number, they are capable of doing just about anything with it, yeah. So depending on where you are, use Google. Google is your friend. Google has all the answers, I promise you. In as much as you would want to be asking live people about particular things, first Google. Most of this information is there and it's free, and you don't have to feel like, oh, you have to be nice to somebody to ask them, oh, what do you think? No, just Google, look for the social security administration office near me, yeah, and that should be able to give you locations near you. Talk to your host, help your host, yeah. Don't wait for your host to help you figure things out. That is why we are here. I mean, initially, this information wasn't there, or maybe it was and we just didn't see it, or maybe you were looking for someone familiar, someone that you can relate with. I hope I am that someone for you. Because I understand when you talk about situations, because I want to talk to someone who is in my place, someone who has been through what I'm going through right now. It gives you some bit of confidence of, okay, if she went through this, I can too. So when you get to your host's place, because you won't be able to do practically anything without this social security number, so you want to look for this administration office. So what happened for me was, we looked for this, and let me tell you, there is a huge line at these offices, so you want to go early. I do not know about other places, but when I came to the USA, I was living in Virginia, so there was a line. My host was kind enough to go with me. She made the line with me. When I reached the window, talked to the lady, I'm like, hey, you know what, I'm here for this. And she's like, oh, no, you don't have to do too much. You don't even have to fill out any of those forms, So just give me your address, give me your passport, and we'll send this to you in a week's time in the mail. I'm like, oh, okay, that was easy. Don't sit at home and wait for anyone to do things for you. Let me tell you, in this country, in as much as we don't want to say it enough, you're on your own. Your host is busy. If you've not seen it yet, I need you to know that your host is a very busy person. Even when you see them at home, in the house, they are busy people. You need to help yourself, because again, you're a grown-up. You're a grown-up who needs to be initiating these conversations and who needs to be standing up for yourself, because no one is going to do that for you. So help your host help you. So in a week's time, my card came. Yeah, I was excited. Now you would have to open a bank account. Why? Because when you apply for a job, they're going to ask you for a bank account where they can put your money. Okay? Here, no one is going to give you cash. I know there are jobs where they'll give you cash, but oftentimes they want to send you money directly to your bank, and you're unable to open up a bank account if you don't have a social security number. Now, I understand in some circumstances you can. Honestly, I don't know, but I know I needed mine to be able to open up a bank account. Yeah. So I got my card, I got my passport again because I didn't have an ID. I went to the bank, and I always recommend PNC. If there's a PNC in your area, do a PNC bank. They give you a package that is they give you, of course, different packages. I chose the three package one, actually. So it has the checking account, it has the savings account, and then it has a reserve, something like that. I just never understood what the reserve for, but it made sense for me. And yeah, it makes life easy for you. Once you get your bank account, you want to try for a driver's license. Now, an ID or a driver's license, because you need some sort of identification. Okay, so if you've been driving from wherever it is that you came from, again, talk to your host, be nice to them, explain your situation to them, go to the DMV or MVA or wherever it is that you get your licenses from, because that is where you get your ID as well. If you did not know, or if you can't drive like me, when I came to this country, I could not drive. I had to read for the test regardless, because I needed an ID. So I read for the test, did the test the first time, and I failed it. And that, for me, was like the worst failure in my life. Have you wanted things to work out for you so badly that one thing just knocks you off your feet? I remember going back home in this Uber, and I was crying. And the guy who drove me, the Uber driver, was so kind to me. He's like, me, because English was not his first language. He's like, I've done that test 5 times. I did that test 5 times. I was like, okay, there's a hope. He's like, I didn't understand the language, and the languages that are available, his language wasn't a part of those languages, so it was hard for him. I was like, okay, this man could not speak an English word. Okay, he couldn't speak English like that. He went through this whole agony 5 times, did his exam and passed it. I think I'll be fine. Came back the next day, did the test and passed it. I took, of course, pictures for my driver's permit, and it was sent in the mail in a few. So now you have your ID stroke permit. Now the permit allows you drive, but you can only drive with a person who has a license in the car. But again, if you can drive in the States, unlike back home, no one is going to be stopping you. Hey. No, you can drive. Yeah, stay out of trouble. Yeah, that is very important. Then after all this, now you can start looking for jobs. But also, that does not mean if you haven't gotten all this, you can't find something to do. You can babysit. No one requires an ID for you to babysit. You can do, these are the CNA jobs. If you have someone who you know who's willing to, give you this job, like help around, and you're not going to bring any trouble. Now that you have your documentation, you can start to look for the jobs, right? I was lucky per se. I think I had a job 5 days after I got here. And I say that because my host has this whole company and she was able to hire me. So you might not be like me, but there's always something to do in this country. For as long as you're documented, something will always come up. And even if you're not, let me tell you, something is always there for you to do. You have to be as aggressive can be, and as humble can be. So now you have to find the jobs depending on what you did in school, or you might have to just abandon that, because one thing about this country is it will humble you. They don't care if you've been a minister, they don't care if you've been a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. Now, depending again on who you are and what you want, if you want to do school, you can start working on that. And if you want to work, because of course most of us now want to work because you want to make some bit of money for you to start your life, basically. So I was doing this job, I then got another job, so now I had 2 jobs, and yeah, life keeps on going, right? So of course, as time goes on, you want to move into your place. Let me tell you, whether you want it or not, you need to leave your host's place. I don't care who your host is, unless the host is your mother and father. Get out of your host's house, okay? Because in as much as you don't see it, people get tired. In as much as you're the best person there is, people get tired of having you around. So if you're a grown up and you also want your independence, right? Get out of your host's house and find your own place, okay? Another thing that I would want to talk about is mastering the transport system. Depending on where you are, again, if you're in these busy cities, you want to master the transport system. So I would work and I would have to go from like different places to other places. And let me tell you, the first time I used the train, I didn't have the clue, the slightest clue of what it is that I was doing. But I got on that train and I got lost. The very first time I got lost because I didn't know what it is that I was doing or where it is that I was all I knew is I was going to Virginia and I was in Washington DC at this point, and I just needed to get to Virginia. And I got onto this train and they kept saying, oh, you're going to use the blue line, and then you're going to use the red line. And then I was like, okay, let me tell you, I got onto the first train. I didn't know what the red line was, I didn't know what the blue line was. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know where I was going. I promise you. I don't know. Now that I think about it, what was I thinking? But anyway, I did. And getting lost helped me learn. So eventually I figured, oh, okay. So the blue line gets me to a stop closer to my home. From there to my home, the Uber won't cost me $61, but it costs me around 12 or 20 on a bad day, which is good for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I started doing that, and then I saved a bit, because let me tell you, Uber costs no. You'd be going to a job where you're going to make $120 in that one day, and you're spending $61, $65 just to go to the workplace. Yeah, not a to and fro, to go. So master the transport system, because it's cheap. The public transport is cheap, and it helps you get to where you're going faster. You need to know the time, you need to know the stops, you need to know all those things. Just acquaint yourself with all that for that day, you know, because I know that days when you're like, you know what, if I use the transport system, I'm going to be late, so I just jump onto an Uber and that's it. But just acquaint yourself with these particular transport systems, you know, to make your life much easier. So then you're going to start thinking about moving out. For some people, if you don't mind sharing, find somebody that you can share your house with, or an apartment, because it's very normal here to find that two people rent out like a 2-bedroom apartment. We share the common living space, and then get maybe and everyone has like a room of their own, and maybe share a bathroom, something like that. Oftentimes, if you're lucky, you find that in the master bedroom there's a whole bathroom, so you guys don't have to share a bathroom. I personally didn't have to share my house. I rented out a basement for starters, someone's basement, which was cozy, was nice. And I had a whole cup bathroom of my own. It was a living room and a bedroom. It was nice. For the time that it served me, it was really nice. And then as time went on, I moved into my first apartment. So you want to figure out a way, live within your budget. Okay, no one says that if you came and your host lived in Virginia, you have to keep living in Virginia. No, explore. I always told myself where the money is where I'll go. But I needed to find a place of my own, so I found a place that served me well, a place within the price range that I could afford. You want to remember that. I don't like sharing my space, so I had to figure out a way to find something that works for me, but then that is also affordable, right? And that is exactly what I did. So depending on what your goals are in life, this would be a good time to start maybe thinking of settling. If you were married before you came, now you can start working on your documentation to bring your family. But if you won the DV lottery, then you probably traveled with your entire family. So everything you've been doing with your family as well. If you have a family, you want to settle in a place where you know is good enough for your kids to go to school, but also at some point you might not have the luxury of doing that. So as you're relocating, you might want to move to a place that has good schools, you know, because in as much as things are different, you want your kids to go to good schools. And it's the USA, bad things happen, so you want to live in an environment that makes sense, that you know for sure my kids are safe in school, you know, the company they're keeping, all that. Yeah. And while you're doing all the things that you have been doing, you're trying to make friends, because it is hard. Also, we don't appreciate the fact that it's really hard making new friends as an adult, but you should be vigilant, and you should have the spirit of discernment enough to show you who you want to keep around and who you want to let go. Because again, I've learned so much growing up. I mean, living in this country. I think of myself as a people person. I love people, but I've gotten to a point where, you know what, if you have peace by yourself, you do that. Because one thing about this country is it changes people. people will do as they please, because I mean, I don't know what it is. I still want to understand what it is about Earth that just changes people so much, or what it is that is it is about this country that just changes people. But I think it's the different frustrations and the fact that people have to work too much, and you know, I mean, you'd never know, but all I can say is find the peace within you, and do things that honestly give you peace. You want to choose your own peace of mind in everything that you do. Yeah. Yeah, and if you're a single person and you fancy being married and having children, after a year or two you finally settled, I think it's the time to start looking. I mean, I'm not even telling you what to do, but honestly, when you have a decent job, a decent roof over your head, you're happy, you have your life figured out, that would be time for you to now start exploring that part of your life. For different people would want to do school. That would be a good time to start thinking of school. Or you want to improve yourself in any way, you want to start a new career, you've saved up enough to start like a business or something. Bottom line is you fully settled now. Like I said, settling will be different for different people, but for whenever you settle, you do whatever it is that, you know, sails your boat. But all in all, if you've been looking for some bit of hope, I hope this has given you a clear picture of what it is that you need to do, or how long it will take you to settle. All I can say is it is eventually going to pay off. Hang in there, you're going to be fine. Okay. And if you have any questions, you have anything to say to me, leave your questions and your comments in the comment section. If there's any videos that you want me to make, please let me know in the comment section as well. Be sure to leave us a like, and you can share the video if you think it would make sense to somebody else. We will see you, or also let us know where it is that you're watching from. We'll see you in our next video. Take care and stay safe. Bye.